Good evening. Welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. Tonight, a chilling story from inside our Supreme Court that should shake every Indian awake. Imagine this. A husband decides that he's done. Instead of facing his wife, instead of uttering a single word himself, he sends his lawyer to do the dirty work of divorce. 3 cold, unsigned letters arrive over 3 months, each stamped talaq. He remarries the next week. His wife left holding a child, a pile of lawyers' notices, and no valid divorce. She cannot open a bank account. She cannot get her child admitted to school, cannot remarry without risking jail for polyandry. This is not some medieval tale. This has happened in 2025. This is Talaq-e Hasan, the so-called proper way. Muslim women are still being discarded like trash in some cases, as we will explain to you through proxy. Without dignity, without voice, how much longer will we allow religious loopholes to crush women's lives in the name of tradition? The Supreme Court today called it shameful. We should call it what it is, barbaric. Enough. It's time India buried every form of unilateral divorce forever, because no woman deserves to be erased by a lawyer's letter. But what exactly are we talking about? Let's just bring you the details in this special report on this new regressive form. It's called Talaq-e Hasan. So the key point over here, Talaq-e Hasan is a form of extrajudicial unilateral divorce recognized under traditional Hanafi Sunni personal law in India. It is considered the most proper or approved form by and large. It is an approved form of talaq among other 3 traditional modes. Now, what is the procedure in this? The procedure is that the husband pronounces talaq once every month for a period of 3 successive months during the wife's period of purity. Now, that's the way it's meant to be done. If there is no conjugal relation which is resumed and no revocation occurs, the marriage automatically dissolves after the 3rd pronouncement. And the purpose in this is that, unlike instantaneous forms which have been banned, it's designed to allow a 3-month window for reflection, reconciliation, and possible revocation of the first 2 pronouncements. So that's what it's meant to do. But as we will explain to you, that's not working that way. Remember, triple talaq or talaq-e-biddat was the instantaneous and irrevocable pronouncement of talaq 3 times in one sitting. This was declared unconstitutional and arbitrary by the Supreme Court. That was subsequently criminalized through the Muslim Women Protection of Rights of Marriage Act 2019. Now, in the current challenge, and this has been ongoing for a couple of years, in fact, since 2022, the petitions led by Benazir Hina versus the Union of India argues that even Talaq-e Hasan is one-sided, it is arbitrary, and violates Articles 14 and 19 and 21 of the Constitution. The Supreme Court today heard this, and they continue to make their final hearings. They've criticized what has happened with her as being an innovative practice, with her husband delegating lawyers to issue talaq notices without personal involvement or signature. There are key practical issues which have been highlighted in the petitioner's case, in this particular case, and this is why we are discussing this. The husband sent lawyer-issued notices without any signature, without his own signature. He then remarried, leaving the wife in legal limbo, unable to remarry without the risk of polyandry charges, and also facing difficulties with documents, bank accounts, child-related matters. The court questioned whether such practices can be permitted in a civilized modern society. Remember, a couple of years back, we heard of the horrific cases of divorce by WhatsApp messages. Somebody WhatsApp talaq, talaq, talaq 3 times, and voila, divorce is done. Now what is happening, using another form of acceptable divorce among Muslims in India, is somebody gets an advocate. That advocate sends a message of talaq once every month for 3 months, and the man assumes that that's okay, it's done, I am out of here. In India, can this be accepted at all? Well, joining us now to look at this, Zeenat Shaukat Ali, the Director General of the Wisdom Foundation. She's a Muslim scholar. She's worked on the empowerment of women of Islamic women, in particular in our country, Atikur Rahman, a researcher in Islamic studies, and Yasmin Farooqi. Thank you all very much for being with us. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, I suppose one of the reasons why we are looking at this today is reflected in what Justice Kant said today in the Supreme Court. And he said, and I quote, "If the husband communicated to the advocate, what prevents him from directly writing it to her? What kind of thing is this? How are you promoting this in 2025? Whatever best religious practice we follow, is this what you allow? Is this how a dignity of a woman is upheld?" Isn't that what this is all about? The dignity of a woman is being violated in this case. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me to the show. I think what you're saying is 100% right. But let me explain to you how the law has been misinterpreted, misused, and, sort of hijacked by people like the advocate and whoever the gentleman who has done this. So let me explain to you that Talaq-e Hasan is very misunderstood also. There is no such thing. You see, there is either a revocable form of divorce or an irrevocable form of divorce. And there is only one form of divorce that is mentioned in the Quran as the last verse of it, in Surah number 4, verse number 35. That is, if there is a difference between husband and wife, if they cannot agree, either party must approach an arbitration council or their family or, the state or whatever the arbitration council is, and over there a decision is made. Now, all the major countries of the world, including our neighbor Pakistan, has done the needful in 1961 in their laws, and all the major amount of countries have followed this rule. So that there is, and in this kind of a divorce, for 3 months the husband and wife remain under one roof without conjugal relations, and if either party dies, the other can inherit from the other.
Right.
And after the 3 months are over, there is a regular divorce, after which, if the woman wants to remarry somebody else, she can do so, and if she wants to remarry her own husband, after a period of time, she can do so. Now, unfortunately, there have been 2 other forms which are later introductions, and what you talk about Talaq-e Hasan, which is a discipline, which is not, it is a majorly misunderstood. In the first month, he divorces the wife. In the second month, there is a period of waiting which is called iddat. So, in any form of divorce, there is a 3-month or 90 days period of iddat. In this form, there is no period of iddat. He pronounces one divorce at the beginning of 1 month, another at the beginning of another month, and the third in the beginning of the third month. Now, let me tell you, under Hanafi law, if he uses a certain kind of phraseology, even in the first pronouncement, he cannot revoke that divorce. It becomes irrevocable. Under certain circumstances, revocable. Under other circumstances, irrevocable.
So, now, it's how this has been misused is what we are looking at.
Misused completely. I just want to explain to you that at the end of the 90 days, if either party dies in between, they cannot inherit, and the divorce becomes irrevocable, and it becomes a ban. So that if the woman wants to remarry and the husband wants to reconcile and remarry each other,
Zeenat Shaukat Ali, I understand what you're saying. We'll break this up a little further. Let me go across to Yasmin Farooqi. Yasmin जी, शुक्रिया आप हमारे साथ हैं. मैं सिर्फ आपसे ये पूछना चाहता हूँ कि पहले कुछ सालों पहले ये ट्रिपल तलाक बैन होने के पहले व्हाट्सएप पे मैसेज दिया जाता था कि तलाक तलाक तलाक, बस तलाक हो गए, हम निकले यहाँ से. और अब इस केस में बताया जा रहा है कि एक वकील के पास एक चिट्ठी दिया है. इन्होंने चिट्ठी पे सिर्फ एक शब्द, वो जो भी हो, वो तलाक शब्द इस्तेमाल किया गया है, और 3 महीने में 3 चिट्ठी भेजे गए हैं. और जो डिवोर्स करना चाहता है, जो मर्द डिवोर्स करना चाहता है, वो खुद ये बोल नहीं रहा है अपने वाइफ को कि मैं डिवोर्स इस कारण करना चाहता हूं. आप मानते नहीं है कि ये गैर कानूनी है?
मुझे ये पता नहीं है कि जो उन्होंने भेजा है वकील के थ्रू, उस लेटर पे, क्योंकि वकील के थ्रू कोई भी तलाक भेजने के लिए उस पे खुद के साइन होते हैं.
साइन नहीं है
और
इसमें.
साइन होने के बाद
साइन नहीं है इसमें.
2 गवाहों के भी साइन होते हैं.
साइन नहीं है.
पूरी बात सुन लिए.
नहीं, आप मेरे बात सुनिए, मैं आपको समझाता हूँ. इसमें साइन नहीं,
खुद के साइन नहीं है उनके.
नहीं,
तो
खुद के
साइन.
करेक्ट. तलाक है ही नहीं ना.
नहीं तो तलाक
तो ये मिसयूज है. ये तलाक-ए हसन का एक मिसयूज है, इसलिए हम इसको डिस्कस कर रहे हैं. जी, तलाक-ए हसन के नियम होते हैं और वुमेन्स राइट्स होते हैं. जो प्रोटेक्टेड होते हैं, इस केस में ये राइट्स को बाईपास नहीं किया जा सकता है, इसलिए हम इसको डिस्कस कर रहे हैं।
बिल्कुल सही आप कह रहे हैं, ये बात मैं मानती हूं कि जब तक उसके साइन नहीं है, दो गवाहों की बात नहीं है, तो हवा में थोड़ी कोई तलाक हो जाएगी। आपको तलाक देने के लिए खुद के सिग्नेचर करने पड़ेंगे।
Let me ask you, Atikur Rahman, this particular case is a very simple case. It's about a man who refuses to come face to face with his wife and say that I want a divorce. It's a case where he refuses to go by what the rules are as far as talaq in this particular condition is concerned. The child suffers, the wife suffers, and he apparently has gone and married somebody else. Is this not a black and white violation of Talaq-e Hasan?
I was to say this, that he is violating Talaq-e Hasan. And I fully agree with our Islamic scholar, Zinat Saiba. What she said is the correct way of talaq. We desperately are in need of a common civil code, and I am hopeful that when we look toward the uniform civil code guaranteeing women's rights, gender justice and gender equality, most of the Quranic laws guaranteeing women's rights will have to be incorporated into it. What this man has done in this particular case is a complete violation of Talaq-e Hasan. We have to make it, very much clear that even if the talaq is by compromise, the women's rights have to be secured, and that is the prophetic tradition.
One of the other things, Zina Chaukat Ali, that the Justice Kant said is, and I quote, resolving this one problem will not solve the problem. Society at large is involved. Some remedial measures have to be taken. If there are gross discriminatory practices, then the court must interfere. And I think this is welcome, because this is not a commentary on the law, it is a commentary on how the law may be practiced. And if it is practiced incorrectly, then the courts must interfere. Now, we have heard about triple talaq and all the problems. That is illegal now. We heard about WhatsApp divorces as well. We've got one example of how Talaq-e Hasan has been misused. Do you not believe that there are many more such cases of Muslim women suffering? The person in this case is an ex-journalist, fully able to express her concern. There may be others who are victims of this law. Is that a problem or not?
It is very problematic, and I am absolutely with the judges. And I stand for the justice and equality of women that Islam has bestowed upon them. It is very unfortunate that patriarchy and somehow or the other has dominated and subdued the rights of women. And in this context, especially with this lady journalist, on what basis has this? Is completely illegal. This is an illegal matter, and it has to be decided in consonance and very correctly that a uniform civil code. You see, unfortunately, Muslim law gives women many rights, but in today's India, we don't find that happening. Even within the legal system of Islam, there is Hanafi law, there is Shafi'i law, there is Maliki law, there are other laws, there is Shia law, there is Bohra law, there is Aga Khani. So it's a conglomeration, and it's extremely difficult to even visualize these laws and come to any conclusion that is balanced. So I think definitely that a uniform civil code is very important, and I do feel giving women equal rights that the Islam is already giving you, which have been snatched away from them from the patriarchal understanding and the kind of thinking that has been inculcated. In 75 years, women have suffered largely. There is no codification process. We asked for a codification process which never happened. And for 75 years, these laws are being repeated and repeated. There are only 3 or 4 laws that are codified. You look at Shah Bano, what happened to her. So what I'm simply saying is that yes, I am in consonance with the judges. Their opinions, I salute and I welcome the judgment. And I think that, that women should be given their right, and this is not the way. And this entire process of how he has done it, he has used a method of what you call a delegated power to divorce, which is only assigned to the wife.
No, and I think Atiq ur Rahman jump in at this stage. The entire process of mediation evidently appears to have been bypassed. How can there be a divorce proceeding even under this norm without proper mediation, whether it's done by clerics or somebody else?
You know, Vishnu, one of the primary objectives of Talaq-e Hasan, the 3-month period, is, as Ms. Zina Shokatini pointed out, that under one roof they had to live. And the primary objective is a rapprochement, a compromise between the wife and the husband, so that they can again come on equal terms. That's missing in this. That's the violation of Talaq-e Hasan, and he should be punished for it. Any Sharia court in any part of the world will punish this man for this deed, what he has done. Rapprochement is missing, one roof is missing, so it's a complete violation of a Quranic law. The husband is at stake. He should be getting a harsh punishment, not only in Sharia law, but even the courts. I do agree with the judgment.
Yep. Zina Shaukat Ali, I think we've missed out on perhaps as important a part of this discussion as any, the child. There is a child over here. Here is a man who's walked out on his child. That child isn't getting admission in schools. The woman is unsure about her rights to remarry. The husband has remarried. So therefore, there are fundamental issues which have to be addressed. And I think it's wonderful that the court today told the council, if there is a problem with this child getting admission to school, you list that name of that school, you bring it to me and I will sort it out. But ultimately, I find it reprehensible that the rights of that child have been denied completely, let alone the mother.
I agree with you, and I agree with the judgment. I applaud the judgment and I welcome it. And Vishnu, believe me, this is the worst kind of the thing that can happen. The man, it has to be, the mind is demented, and the mind is taking, people for a ride. It is not the religion. The religion is given, as a matter of fact, I was going to point out to you that there is a right of the woman to divorce, which is now in the Pakistani Nikah Nama of 1961. There is a clause, and there's a verse in the Quran which says, when the Prophet's wives asked him, for worldly things, he gave them the right to divorce, and it's in verse number 33, verse number 28. O Prophet, say to thy consorts, if it be that you desire the life of this world, then come together, I will give it to you and provide you with ample in a handsome manner. I'm giving you the verse of the Quran. This was the delegated part to divorce, which in Pakistan Nikah Nama, under section 7 and 8 is put down, and in the Nikah Nama itself, in section 18 it says that once it is written down, the wife has the right to divorce the husband.
Right.
He gives her the delegated right to
and in
pronounce
fact, perhaps women in our country need to have, Muslim women in our country need to have more codified laws on how divorce can actually take place. There's a larger issue of uniform civil laws and whether that is the best way forward, but that's another debate for another day. The reason for my doing this today is because this is a misuse, as I see it, of the rights of a woman and a child per any norm, whether it's Islamic law or the laws which govern our constitution, and that's why we brought it up. I'd like to thank you all very much for being with us.
Thank you.